Hi friends, this is Jesin from EdulogiX, where we tell you all the information that you need to start your dream career in your preferred destinations. I hope you're all doing great and this new year is treating you well so far. Our today's video is for those nurses who have already passed their NCLEX and OSCE examinations successfully in Australia and are now at the stage where you are now applying for the registration with AHPRA. This is a highly requested video and we have received hundreds of messages from those who are already passed OSCE on how to get your license or how to do the final procedure of registration with AHPRA. Your wish is my command, and in this video I will show you how to complete your application on the AHPRA portal and discuss all the requirements such as recency of practice, how to get your good standing certificate, IELTS requirement, etc. Needless to say, this is the last step, so you should be very careful in completing your online application, and if you have any questions or need help, you can of course contact us.
Hi everyone, welcome all of you to this quick tutorial of what you need to do on AHPRA portal to complete your further application after you have passed OSCE. Okay, so I'm sure that you all are familiar with this screen. You just need to simply log in and put in your details here in this form, and once you basically put in all the details, your portal should open and should look something like this. Okay. Now here you will see the launch online application button, so click on that and it should take you to this page. So this kind of all the things that you need to complete here to complete your whole registration procedure. Okay, so go through the privacy statement, read about it and click next. Same is with your consent, that whatever information that you're putting, you provide, you have the full consent and authorize the national board to verify those information as well. Now, in terms of your details, basically, it will have your full name, and also it will ask you whether you have previously changed your name. So you need to put in all the details here. Also complete your address details, your current residential address details. You can be overseas at this time, that's fine. You can put that address. It's not compulsory that you have to have an Australian address for your form. Okay, now let's move to the your proof of identity. So you need to provide some proof of identity, and those who are offshore can provide their ID cards or government issued ID proofs, and of course your foreign passport. Okay, so you need to complete all that here, and then once you have done all that, you move to the previous examination section. Here they will ask you whether you took the exam and was the exam authorized by an MBA Nursing and Midwifery Board of Australia. So you select yes if you have been approved by AHPRA. If in case you have got the approval from some other board, let's say Ontario College of Nurses Ontario, and then you later on moved your scores here, then select no, and then select the which country or overseas regulatory authority basically give you the permission for this. Okay, but if you have taken the exam via AHPRA, then you just need to fill this information and click next. Okay, quick thing about your registration history. So here it asks you whether you have been a registered health practitioner in Australia or overseas during the past 5 years. So if you have had your nursing license in your home country in the last 5 years and it's valid, you have to select yes. If it's not valid and your license has expired, then you have to select no. Okay, so here I have selected yes, and then you need to provide the details of which country you were registered and your profession, which is nurse. And let's say I've just put in randomly the Nursing Council of Punjab as my registration authority. You also need to provide your registration dates, that which date you were registered and until which date. Now, some registration councils will have validity period. For example, I remember that I think Karnataka State Nursing Council has a validity period of 3 years. Some states, the registration may be lifetime valid. So based upon that, put the information. If it's lifetime valid, you need to put the current date, and if it has a specific date, then you have to put that specific date here. Okay, important thing to note, you also need to ask your registration authority in your home country to send your certificate of good standing or registration status to AHPRA directly. Okay, Now, it should not be a very old document. Whenever it is issued, AHPRA should receive the document within 3 months. That's the validity of the good standing certificate. Okay, so when you click here, you'll be able to see how they can send that document to them. So they can generally simply send it via courier, and or they can also email it to AHPRA as well. I'll put the email address below, and then they can simply send that to AHPRA via email as well. I generally tell everybody that ask them to mail as well as email, so you can use any of the mailing addresses here, and ask them to send it to the mailing address. Okay, do not ask them to send it to the street address. Many a times street addresses don't have services to receive the mail, so make sure they are sending it to the mailing address and emailing it to the IQNM portfolio team. Okay, so once you have done that, then move ahead and click next and move to the next question. Now the next question is about the practice in the profession. So now, in terms of practice, is a very common question that everybody asks. Although I may, many people ask that I haven't worked as a registered nurse in the last 5 years, but I was in other roles like education. I was a tutor, I was a clinical educator. Is that fine? So, for that clarity, let me just read this for you. Practice means any role, whether remunerated or not, in which your skills and knowledge as a health practitioner was used in your profession. Okay, it also includes anything that has non-clinical relationship with clients, working in management, administration, education, research, etc. So not necessarily that you have to have a bedside direct clinical care with your patients. You must have experiences in these sectors as nurse administrators, as nurse researchers, then also it's totally fine. Now, did you graduate more than 2 years ago? See what if you are a recent graduate who have graduated in the last 2 years, then select yes. Otherwise, if it has been more, then select yes. If not, then no. Okay. Now, have you practiced the profession while registered in the past 5 years for a period of equivalent to 450 hours full time? Now, again, the answer will vary based upon your experience. If you have had some experiences of 450 hours in the last 5 years, then select yes. Otherwise, click no and move next. Now, in terms of the most recent practice history, okay. Now, it will ask you what is your full work history since you obtained your qualification, okay, which basically means that from the time you graduated and you obtained your nursing license, have you ever worked or not? Okay, so here put on all the information of where you have worked, etc., and multiply the hours with the duration of your employment. So just to give you an example, let's say you were working as a registered nurse in India. Most of the registered nurses in India work around 40 to 48 hours per week. So let's say 40 hours per week, and let's say you have worked for 6 months. So in that case, 160 hours per month is what your monthly work hours are. Multiply that by 6 and put that value here. Okay. Now, after this, you will be like, if you have more experiences to show, you can use the add button and then add those experiences. If not, you can just move to the next question. Okay. Now here you will see something again, that you must understand, that if you have 450 hours of practice in the profession for the last 5 years, you are required to submit the statement of service, or your employer need to attest that you have worked with them. Okay. Now, if you have not practiced 450 hours in the profession within the last 5 years, then you must provide a statement of service from your last role held in the profession. So let's say you practiced 7 years ago. So you can submit the statement of service for that particular role that you had 7 years ago. Okay. Now, there are specifications how the statement of service should be made. The statement of service should be on the employer's letterhead, provide exact dates of employment. It should describe what role you were doing, whether you were a nurse educator, clinical instructor, or staff nurse, etc. Good if they mention which department were you working, whether it was a full-time role, part-time role, or casual role. Now, again, in countries like India, Nepal, most of the jobs are full-time roles. So they should clearly mention that this was full-time, working this many hours per week, etc. Okay. Now, and then of course it should be signed by your manager. It can be an HR manager, a unit manager, or director of nursing. And let's say if you're unable to provide a statement of service, for example, you were working in your own, you were self-employed. So in that case, you can submit your pay slips if you had pay slips or contracts, etc. Okay. Now, coming to the important question about English language skills. So you will see the option here that which one of the English language competency pathways did you meet. Okay, so you click on this, and then you can see which pathway that you came in. So if you were if you took an examination, let's say IELTS or PT or OET, you need to select the English language test pathway. But if you studied via it, or if you studied in English in your home countries like UK, US, Singapore, etc., who are whose qualifications are recognized by AHPRA. In that case, if you have taken the primary language pathway or the extended education pathway, you have to select that. Okay, we have done a detailed video about English language pathway for all these different categories that you see on your screen. I'll probably link that video here on the I section. You can check it out. But for now, most of the overseas nurses would take a test pathway to prove their competency. So select English language test pathway. Now here you have to mention which exam you took, OET, PT, or TOEFL, or whatever options you have taken, let's say IELTS academic. So select that. And then here you can put your scores basically. Okay, so as you all are aware that AHPRA approves 2 sitting scores within a period of 6 months, it should be there. So if you have taken it in 1 sitting, 2 sitting, so you have to put all those details, what was your registration ID, etc., and then put in all these details here. And very important thing to note again, that your English language results should not be more than 2 years. Okay, so after you have updated everything here, click next. Now here basically this is some compliance and guidelines about some procedures that you must follow. Okay, so this is the exposure prone procedures, and here they are explaining you what is the compliance required by you in terms of bloodborne viruses if you perform any exposure prone procedures. So you need to go through this summary and understand that what is required from you, and if you think that you will be required to perform this in your day-to-day work, then in that case you need to select yes, and then you should ensure that you are able to commit to it. Okay, now do you commit to comply with Australian national guidelines for the management of healthcare workers living with bloodborne viruses and healthcare workers who perform exposure prone procedures? In that case, you have to select yes. Okay, because you will be working with patients who may have hepatitis C, hepatitis B, or other bloodborne infections. In that case, you need to go through it and click yes and go ahead next. Okay. Okay, the next is about criminal history. Now, criminal history, as you all must be aware, that Australia requires you to have an international criminal history check before they complete your nursing licensure or registration procedure. Okay, so they're explaining about criminal history, which includes your time spent in Australia or overseas at any time, and you need to make honest declarations here, whether you have been convicted or you have been let's say you're undergoing any kind of criminal proceedings currently. You need to inform AHPRA about all that clearly. So do you have any criminal history in Australia? Say yes or no, whatever, based upon your situation. And do you have any criminal history in one or more of the countries other than Australia? Let's say there is some proceedings in your home country. If yes, then select yes. If no, then select no. Okay. Same is whether you have been, are there any other countries other than Australia in which you have lived or been primarily based for 6 consecutive months or longer when aged 18 years or more. Okay, so you need to basically have an international criminal history check for any country where you have lived for at least 6 months, minimum 6 months or longer, after you have been 18 years old, and you need to provide the details to AHPRA. So let's say you were living in India and from India you moved to Canada for 2 years to study something, and then you came to Australia, in that case you have to have an international criminal history check for India, Canada, and now Australia. Okay, so you need to ensure that you provide correct information about it. Okay, and if you click on this page, you will see that it will take you to the the approved vendors for international criminal history check. There are two approved vendors for AHPRA, AIS International and Fit to Work. And when you click on any of these links, they will take you to the valid page, and there you have to complete the form, pay the fees, and request for your international criminal history check. Okay, so you need to do this simultaneously, because when you come here you will see that it will ask you for your reference number. Okay, as far as I remember, Fit to Work is approximately, I think, $160. You need to check once. I think it's around $160, but it will depend and vary upon how many countries you have selected. Okay, so doing a quick one. Okay, yeah, it's 159, so $160. Okay, so that's for one country. So if you have multiple countries wherein you are required to do a criminal history check, the amount will vary. Okay, so you need to do this side by side, as I said, and then come back to your portal and then put in the reference number here. After you have done that, click next, and do you commit to have appropriate PII, which is professional indemnity insurance arrangements, in place for all the practices and undertaken during the registration period? You have to select yes. Okay, so by law and by AHPRA's guidelines, you are required to maintain an insurance arrangement, which is called a professional indemnity insurance arrangement, during your entire practice. Okay, so many a times your employer may cover this. If not, you as a registered nurse, you need to ensure that you have the PII cover with you. Okay, so you have to click yes for this. Okay, now moving to the next question. Oh, sorry. Moving to the next question, it says, do you have any impairment that detrimentally affects or is likely to affect your capacity to practice a profession? So let's say you have some, minor or you have some kind of major eye disorder, then that may affect your vision. So, you have to select yes and then provide the statement. Okay, so again, this will vary for each person, but if it's something very, very minor which will not affect you, your capability to work as a registered nurse, click no and then next. Okay, now in terms of the conduct and performance, it's basically again some statutory declarations that you're making, that you have provided all the information which is correct. Have you been or currently the subject of performing or health proceedings in your home country? Have you been suspended? Your license is valid or not? All those things. So select no, no, no if you have never had such situations, and then move to next. Now here also, under the obligations, you must read through each of the statement, understand each of the things, and then click I acknowledge that I have read and understood the obligations, and then click next. Okay. Now here is basically the document upload. Now here is basically the now here you will see the document upload section. So you need to ensure that every document that you select or you upload here, either it should be a good clarity PDF or a JPG format you can select. It should be clear and legible. I personally recommend that you submit color copies and not just black and white, so that it's more they're able to clearly see every information. Okay, now here, this is something that you must have done before also. So when you started your AHPRA application, you must have done this same procedure, which is a document upload section, and then at that time also you must have certified your documents through a justice of peace or a notary officer in your home country. So same procedure need to be again repeated. Okay, so you need to mention whatever copy of documents that you have said that you can submit. So all these things will be here. Click on the add button and then just simply upload those documents. Okay, so if you are new to this, I'm just opening the certifying document guidelines here. You can you can download the PDF here and then understand what is required for certifying your documents correctly. So here you will see the list of people who are authorized in Australia to certify your documents. And if you're outside, who can do it? Okay, Notary Public is the most common person who certifies your documents outside Australia. And then any document which has a photo, it has, it has some guidelines that they need to follow in terms of attesting your documents. So make sure that you are taking a printout of this page to your notary officer or JP and asking them to certify it as per this page. Okay. Now, moving back, so you submit everything and check everything and then move ahead. Okay, so the last step is basically summary. Once you have gone through all this information, check everything and then complete, check everything and then click next, and you will see the payment page. Okay, so when you pay, it will be $489, which is first the application fee and the registration fee. Okay, so altogether will be your amount, and then you complete your payment. Okay, so once you pay, again, very common question people ask is that how much time does it take for AHPRA to complete your licensing procedure? So if all your information is correct, all good, they don't need any other extra information, in that case they will generally issue your license within 6 to 8 weeks. But if in case they need some extra information, or there was some document which was not clear, they need some additional evidences, etc., then in that case you need to ensure that you are you're submitting those documents to AHPRA. Okay, important thing here also, that you also need to arrange your good standing certificate from your home nursing council. So you need to arrange that as well and ensure that it is sent to AHPRA. It can be generally what I tell students is that it's better to courier the good standing certificate to any of the AHPRA mailing addresses, and also ask them to send it via email to the IQNM portfolio email address. I'll probably link that or put that email address in the description section below. So both the things need to be, you need to ensure that you are.
Once you submit this application, as well as provide all the necessary documents to AHPRA, including your criminal history check, IELTS, etc., you should be getting your license within the next 6 weeks. Many of you have asked us questions about IELTS and PTE requirement. So we have done a detailed video about it previously in our channel. I'll put it now and you can see it by clicking on the I button here. And as I said before, if you have any questions about the application or you need our assistance, you can WhatsApp us on the number that is flashing on your screen. Before you go, please make sure to share this video with at least one nurse or one of your friends who will benefit from this video. Stay safe and take care.